Hey, beautiful Virgo souls. I hope you're having an amazing day wherever you are in the world right now. I just finished setting up my cards, and the energy I'm picking up for you all is absolutely incredible. I'm getting this really strong message about someone in your past who is finally having their wake-up moment, and honestly, the cards are telling such a clear story about this situation. So I'm shuffling here, and the first card that literally jumped out of my deck is the Eight of Swords. Now I know what you're thinking because usually this card represents feeling trapped or limited, but here's what's so fascinating about how this card is showing up for your reading today. This Eight of Swords is representing them, not you. This person who hurt you or caused drama in your life is finally seeing how they've been their own worst enemy this whole time. The woman on this card is blindfolded and surrounded by swords, but here's the thing that most people miss about this card. Those bindings around her, they're loose. She could free herself anytime she wants, but she's been choosing to stay in that victim mentality, and that's exactly what's happening with this person from your past right now, Virgo. They're starting to realize that all those problems they blamed on you, all that drama they said you caused, it was actually their own limiting beliefs and toxic patterns creating their misery. I'm seeing this person having these late-night moments where they're replaying conversations and situations, and for the first time they're seeing how they were the common denominator in all their failed relationships and burned bridges. They're realizing that you weren't the difficult one. You weren't the problem. You were actually trying to help them grow, and they pushed you away because growth felt threatening to their ego. The energy around this Eight of Swords is showing me this person feeling trapped by their own pride right now. They want to reach out to you, but they know they messed up so badly that there's no easy way back. They're seeing how much you flourished without their negative energy in your life, and it's hitting them like a ton of bricks that they lost something really special. I'm getting this really strong impression that this person is scrolling through your social media and seeing how happy and successful you've become. They're seeing you living your best life, achieving your goals, surrounded by people who actually appreciate your Virgo attention to detail and your caring nature. And they're having this moment of clarity where they're like, wait, I gave up someone who actually saw my potential and wanted the best for me. Now, the next card that's coming through for you is the Four of Pentacles. And this is so interesting because typically we see this as someone being possessive or holding on to things too tightly. But in your situation, this card is showing me how this person is clinging to their resentment and their version of events because admitting they were wrong feels like losing everything they've built their identity around. This Four of Pentacles energy is showing me someone who has been hoarding their emotions, not willing to be vulnerable or admit fault. They've been so focused on protecting their ego and maintaining this image of being right that they've cut themselves off from genuine connections and growth opportunities. But now they're starting to see the cost of this behavior. The figure on this card is holding on to his pentacles so tightly, but he looks miserable and isolated. That's the energy I'm picking up around this person right now. They've been so busy trying to control the narrative and prove they were right that they've created this lonely existence for themselves. And seeing you thrive without them is forcing them to confront the reality that their controlling and possessive behavior was actually pushing away the good things in their life. I'm also getting that this person is realizing how much work they put into trying to dim your light. Like they're having these uncomfortable moments where they remember times they tried to make you doubt yourself or question your worth. They're seeing how much energy they wasted trying to bring you down to their level instead of rising up to meet you where you were. Moving into our next energy here, I just pulled the Queen of Wands reversed, and wow, this is painting such a clear picture of this person's current emotional state. The Queen of Wands reversed is showing me someone who used to be confident and charismatic, but now they're dealing with jealousy and insecurity that they can't hide anymore. This person is looking at your life and seeing everything they could have had if they hadn't been so focused on tearing others down. The Queen of Wands reversed represents someone whose fire has turned destructive instead of creative. They've been burning bridges instead of building them, and now they're sitting in the ashes, wondering how they got there. I'm getting this really strong impression that this person is experiencing what we call the tall poppy syndrome in reverse. You know how some people try to cut down anyone who's doing well because it makes them feel bad about themselves? Well, now this person is realizing that by trying to cut you down, they actually just revealed their own insecurities and limitations. What's really interesting about this card in your reading is that it's highlighting how this person is particularly bothered by your independence. Virgo, you've always been capable of taking care of yourself and solving your own problems, but this person tried to make you believe you needed them. Now they're watching you prove that not only do you not need them, but you actually do better without their interference. The next card coming through is the Seven of Cups reversed, and this is such a powerful message about this person's current mental state. Seven of Cups reversed represents someone who's finally seeing through their own illusions and fantasies. They've been living in this made-up reality where they were the victim and everyone else was the problem, but now reality is hitting them hard. This card is showing me someone who used to get lost in wishful thinking and unrealistic expectations. They probably had this fantasy that you would come crawling back to them, begging for another chance. They thought you couldn't survive without them, and they were probably waiting for you to fail so they could swoop in and be your savior. But Seven of Cups reversed is showing me that all those illusions are crumbling now. They're seeing clearly for the first time in a long time, and it's not a comfortable experience for them. They're realizing that their perception of the situation was completely distorted by their own ego and insecurities. The energy around this card is showing me someone who's having to face the truth about their own behavior, and it's humbling them in a way they weren't prepared for. They're seeing how their jealousy and need to control outcomes actually created the very problems they were complaining about. It's like they were creating drama and then acting shocked when there was drama in their life. Now we're moving into some really intense energy here because I just pulled the Hermit, and this card is showing me the deep soul searching this person is going through right now. The Hermit represents someone who's finally ready to look within and examine their own patterns and behaviors honestly. This person is in their Hermit phase right now, whether they chose it or not. They're spending a lot of time alone, and for the first time in possibly years, they don't have anyone to blame for their problems except themselves. The Hermit is showing me someone who's being forced to sit with their own thoughts and face the consequences of their actions. What's so powerful about the Hermit in this position is that it represents wisdom gained through experience, often painful experience. This person is learning lessons about themselves that they've been avoiding for a really long time. They're seeing patterns in their behavior that they've been blind to, understanding how they sabotage good things in their life, recognizing how their fear of vulnerability turns them into someone controlling and manipulative. I'm getting this really clear image of this person late at night, unable to sleep, thinking about all the times you tried to communicate with them or work through issues, and they just shut you down or turned it around to make you the villain. They're having these painful moments of clarity where they remember specific conversations where you were being completely reasonable and they were being defensive and difficult. The final card that's completing this reading is the Nine of Swords, and this is showing me the anxiety and regret that's keeping this person up at night. Nine of Swords represents mental anguish, worry, and guilt that becomes overwhelming, especially in those quiet moments when there's nowhere to hide from your own thoughts. This person is having those 3 a.m. moments where their mind is racing with all the things they should have done differently. They're replaying conversations and seeing how they could have responded with maturity instead of defensiveness. They're remembering moments when you tried to address issues calmly, and they turned it into a fight because they couldn't handle being wrong. The Nine of Swords is showing me someone who's being haunted by their own actions. They're seeing how their pride and stubbornness cost them not just your relationship, but also their own peace of mind and self-respect. They're dealing with shame about how they behaved, and anxiety about whether they've permanently damaged their ability to have healthy connections. I'm getting this really clear image of this person obsessing over your social media, seeing you looking happy and confident, and it's triggering this deep fear that they've lost their chance with the best person they've ever known. They're worried that you've moved on completely and they'll never have the opportunity to show you that they've learned from their mistakes. But here's what's really eating at them. They're seeing that you haven't been bad-mouthing them or trying to turn people against them. Your class and maturity in how you've handled the situation is making them look even worse by comparison, and they know it. You've taken the high road, and it's highlighting just how low their behavior really was. So here's what I want you to understand about this whole situation. This person's awakening to their own toxicity isn't really about you. It's about them finally being ready to grow up and take responsibility for their life. Some people need to lose something valuable before they can appreciate what they had. Some people need to hit rock bottom before they're willing to do the inner work that growth requires. You didn't fail them by refusing to enable their dysfunction. You didn't abandon them by choosing your own well-being over their comfort. You didn't do anything wrong by maintaining boundaries and expecting to be treated with respect. What you did was give them the opportunity to step up and meet you where you were, and they chose not to take that opportunity. Now they're dealing with the natural consequences of that choice, and it's teaching them lessons they probably couldn't have learned any other way. Sometimes the universe removes people from our lives, not to punish them, but to give them the space they need to figure themselves out. And sometimes it removes people from our lives to protect us from absorbing their unhealed energy. Your job right now isn't to worry about their healing journey or feel guilty about their regrets. Your job is to keep being the amazing Virgo that you are, keep building the life you want, keep growing and evolving into the person you're meant to be. Their realization that they were the problem is their lesson to learn, not your responsibility to manage. The energy I'm getting around you right now is so beautiful and strong. You've been doing the work, you've been growing, you've been creating the life you actually want, instead of settling for drama and chaos. You've proven to yourself and everyone watching that you don't need someone else's approval or presence to be successful and happy. Keep doing exactly what you're doing because it's working beautifully. Keep honoring your Virgo instincts about what feels right and what doesn't. Keep maintaining those healthy boundaries that protect your energy and your peace. Keep building toward your goals with that methodical Virgo persistence that gets results. And if this person ever does reach out to apologize or try to make amends, you get to decide what feels right for you based on who you are now, not who you were when you were trying to make it work with them. You've grown and evolved since then, and any future connection would need to honor the person you've become, not the person you were when you were willing to accept less than you deserved. The universe is so proud of how you've handled this whole situation with grace and wisdom. You chose healing over revenge, growth over stagnation, peace over drama. Those choices are paying off in ways that extend far beyond just this one relationship. You're becoming the kind of person who naturally attracts healthy, mature connections because you've done the work to become emotionally available and stable yourself. Keep shining your light, bright, beautiful Virgo. Your story is just getting started and the best chapters are still being written. Someone else's regret about losing you doesn't diminish your worth. It just confirms what you already knew about your value.